Let's enhance the Z-pools that are created by labeling disks using names that are unique. So far we've been using the names that are associated by default by the operating system, in this case FreeBSD. But GPT labels help us to ensure that regardless of the labeling by the OS, that the names associated with partitions, in particular block devices and their default partition, let's say a single partition, always remains consistent. So the idea is to assign unique names, and they can be simplistic names. They need not be UUIDs, as is in the case with, say, Linux. So unique names that are associated with block devices. And this way, we can be sure that the OS renumbering will not have an impact on those unique names. So if the devs, let's say, are renumbered, which happens if you remove or reorder them, then it's not an issue. If you, of course, construct your Z-pools, let's just note, if you construct pools with unique names. Now, we should also note that if you elect to construct pools out of the default nomenclature, which is DAs 1 through N, then upon, let's say, renumbering, ZFS will attempt to recover your pools with remaining VDEVs or virtual devices. But as you can imagine, this is less than ideal. So the idea is, as an example, let's say you've got DAs 1, 2, and 3. So you've removed one, or maybe it's failed. You've, let's say, restarted the instance. Because so long as it's up, the existing names will hold. But on a subsequent restart of the instance, 2 becomes 1, and 3 becomes 2. Now, because ZFS signatures are unique and are written to each of the blocks, ZFS can figure out how to reconstruct the pools based on the available disks. So, for example, if these 3 consisted of, say, a RAID Z1 pool, ZFS is smart enough to assign the new 2, which was the former 3, and the new, let's say, 1, which was the former 2, to the RAID Z1 pool. And of course, it'll be in a degraded state because it's missing a member. But it's again less than ideal because the renumbering makes it visually difficult to follow. Whereas if you assign labels with GPT to the partition associated with the disk, it remains consistent regardless of state. So whether failed, reconstructed, and so on. So if a new device, let's say DA2, becomes all of a sudden DA1, its label won't change. So, we should also note one other thing, or one other feature regarding using GPT labels. Once you've created them, they'll exist in the dev tree beneath GPT. So this is where you'll construct your pools from, as opposed to, say, simply /dev/DA and some number. So labels cause devices to be created beneath dev GPT. So let's just note, use this path, this /dev path, to construct ZFS pools. Now, what we've covered so far is fine. It works, of course. But if you'd like to enhance, at least for visibility purposes and for management, the construction and management of pools, then you should label the partitions. Now, the idea, let's list as 3, is that the entire disk has one partition, and this partition has a label associated with it. There's nothing wrong with that. So it becomes, say, for example, DA1 partition 1. So, current configuration. Let's wipe the pools that are there because we understand what would happen if we were to remove, say, DA1 from the set. It could be a problem. Again, zpool lists, verbose. Projects consists of 1 through 3. We yank 1 for some reason. Let's say we offline it, or pull it from the virtual configuration, reboot. 2 becomes 1, 3 becomes 2. Now this is a stripe, so it would fail, but if it were RAID Z1, it would work, and obviously anything higher would fail. So let's wipe our pools. Let's do a zpool destroy for both of these. We no longer need the data sets associated with them. First we'll do projects. No one's connected to it, and backup. And then we'll follow up with the zpool list. So currently, the only disk that's in use or partition is partition 4 on the initial disk that's associated with the operating system. And a dmessage grep DA should show 1 through 8, the remaining disks that we can assign as we see fit, and their associated sizes. For example, since we know that they're represented using MB, you can grep these out and note that, for example, 0 is 20 gigs, 1 is also 20 gigs, and 2 is also the same size, well, presumably this as well, whereas 4 through 8 are a gig, so perhaps those are the ones that we'll work with since they're smaller and we don't intend to store any data. So, having said that, in order to set this up properly, we need to create GPT labels on each of these disks. Now, currently, if we use gpart to list the disks that have associated labels as well as GPT signatures, you'll note from our dump that currently that's only DA0, and this was as a result of installation. So far we've been using the raw partitions directly with ZFS, so none of them have any GPT labels associated. So 2, let's say we create a GPT scheme on the devs that are of interest. So to do so, we'll use sudo gpart create, and gpart is a complex command with a lot of options. So in this case, we want to set the scheme to GPT and do so on the disks of interest. We said we'll work with 4 through 8, so we'll start off with 4. We could loop through each of these to make it quicker. So for example, let's do a for I in 4 through 8. Let's copy this in and try this out. A gpart list after should reflect, notice, 4 through 8. And gpart list shows the original disk because we've yet to actually add the default partition that we've described. So for each of the disks, let's go ahead and set the label associated with the lone partition. So that's a GPT scheme. That means GPT now manages, or at least there's a GPT schema associated with each of the disks. So next step for us, let's go ahead and add a 100% partition with unique labels to each disk. The same loop will suffice. Let's drop this in. Instead of a gpart create, let's go ahead and do gpart add. And this will be of type FreeBSD, but if you're following along on Linux, label it as Linux ZFS. And of course you wouldn't be using gpart, but rather parted. And here we get to set the label using the L option. So here we'll indicate, say, DA to indicate that it's a disk, perhaps the number. Now, maybe it's DAI-001 or 00I. It's up to you. Label it uniquely so that you know what the disk represents. So for example, it could be DA1001, and then if a new DA1 is introduced at some other point, maybe it becomes DA1002 as the second incarnation of DA1, if you will. Whatever nomenclature you come up with, stick to it and ensure that it makes sense. Now again, neither of these disks, 4 through 8, currently have partitions described. So now note each partition is defined, but let's do a gpart list again. DA8 is the highest on the list, and here's the partition that occupies 100% of the available blocks. And in addition, the unique name that's associated with that particular partition, the label that is, which is the key, which allows us to uniquely reference the object. That's this, the label. And each will have a unique label. So for example, DA7007. Now note, this is actually following based on the current loop of I. We could remove each partition and make this say DA7001. That would work as well. We'd have to loop through each of them and delete each partition. For example, let's loop through this and just indicate the index of the partition, which is partition number 1. So gpart delete the index, which is 1, from DA and the name of the disk, which is DA4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. Let's double check that. That should be delete. Doesn't take an abbreviation. Now let's recreate it. Instead of incrementing it here, we'll just make it 001 each step of the way. Now let's gpart list again, and there you can see DA8 has a label of DA8 001. So if this disk fails, the next one will become, say, DA8 002, and so on. Let's pick another random one, say DA4, the first one, DA4 001, the first generation or first incarnation, if you will, of the disk associated with that slot, which is auto-assigned by the operating system. So this will shift to 1. But as mentioned, you can always delete. So A1, delete with the following. Similar loop, but it becomes simply the index and the disk. So for example, gpart delete index 1, because it's only one partition against the disk. Of course, this is if necessary. So now we have on each of the disks partitions that are 100%. One single partition. Let's say for confirm the dev GPT location, just to be sure that the devices are there. So dev GPT, note 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These can be used to construct, let's say, anything, a RAID Z1, for example. So what's left is for us to create a pool. So 5, create pool from that location, dev GPT star, such as DAs 4 through 8. We'll use a character class here, so 4 through 8, hyphen 001. So that should be straightforward. Sudo zpool create, we'll call it projects again. We'll make it of type, say, RAID Z1 for simplicity. And we'll add all of the devices, devs GPT DA4 001, and the same 5, 6, 7, 8. Just drop each of the devices in and up the counters. Maybe you could use xargs in combination with a loop to simplify matters. This should be 6. Let's drop in 7 and 8. And finally 7. So this will create the pool of RAID Z1 out of these devices, as opposed to just simply /dev/DA and the number, DAN if you will. So back here for a moment, let's drop that in. And it says here that to override the following errors, invalid vdev specification. Let's double check our numbers. DA4001, 5001, 6001, 7, and 8001. So that looks correct. Let's see what it doesn't like. Well, note, it reads the RAID Z contains devices of different sizes. Let's take a quick look here for a moment at each of these. See what we've done. Let's do a dmessage. See what the devices are. So 8 is a gig, 7, 6, 5, 4. This one's actually the problem. So 4 is the problem. So let's get rid of 4. And we'll make simply 5 through 8. 4 is 10 gigabytes. We missed the extra 0 at the end. Let's try this out. That's more like it. So zpool list. Now finally, RAID Z1 consists of in the dev tree, GPT, and these locations. So regardless of what happens to 5 through 8, no problems whatsoever. Those devices can only come back up, the original ones, with these labels. A new drop-in replacement for DA5 will not have this label. It will simply be called DA5. And that could pose a problem for reconstructing your RAID Z1, but you're now using a unique label, and that's the deal. This is a much more sane way of constructing your Z pools. Again, if your system doesn't change often, you can rely upon your standard DAs 1 through N, DA 1, 2, 3, etc. But if you want to be sure that if failure strikes, that you know the device that you see before you is the device that should be a part of a particular Z pool, then use labels, GPT labels. Again, each partition represents 100% of the storage associated with the VDEV, in this case, a gigabyte per disk. And of course, ZFS list will reflect the total storage available since we're using RAID Z1. So 1 is being sacrificed, as we've mentioned, since 1 parity cumulatively is what's available. So use GPT labels, but again, if you don't think you need to, then stick with the default numbering offered by the operating system.